Going to talk about kids, adolescents, and language therapy, speech therapy. But why don't you tell us, just give us a brief overview.
Sure. Well, I'm a speech language pathologist, so a lot of people when they think of speech therapy think of articulation is what we call it, speech, when they say wing for ring or it's a white instead of a light. So, but that's not all we do. We do a lot with, especially I've specialized in language and literacy development and how language develops when kids aren't talking, when they don't express themselves in longer sentences, when they have trouble understanding directions and what the teacher says or comprehending text when reading. That's all language related. And in fact, reading is based on language. So if you have reading problems, inherently, usually there are underlying language problems as well. Or if you have a language problem as a young child, you are more likely to have a reading disability when it comes time for school and comes time for reading. So we do things with children with articulation, with just speech, but we also work with children with language disorders. We work with early intervention. We can work as young as a 0-month-old child whenever they might be in the hospital and need some swallowing issues. We do swallowing therapy. We do stuff with children with hearing impairment. And a good thing about our state is that every child before they leave the hospital is tested for hearing loss. So that's early identified if it's a congenital or genetic hearing loss versus children who have chronic ear infections, such as my child. They might have hearing loss due to that, and we might do some speech therapy with that because they're not hearing, so therefore their language isn't developing. So they just might need a little extra push before they get to school to help their language move on. And we work with children with autism or other severe disabilities. Autism is a wide spectrum disorder. You can have children who talk nonstop but don't have the social language versus the autistic child who doesn't take anything. And we try to work with them to build their language and to get them to communicate. So we have a wide range of things that we do in our field.
You do. Wow, I'm blown away now. Okay, wow, this is a whole new level. But and I was reading last night in speech. It is. People have not only learning problems because of language difficulties early on, but also the social relationships and the social complications because they don't understand or people are not understanding what they're saying as they go on through life. That it's much more than just they might not be learning to their level.
Absolutely.
In school. So that's something to think about. And so as a parent, what are the signs for me to assess my child or have my child assessed, or what can I do to make sure we're on the right path?
Sure. Well, just from the very beginning, there's not much you can do with an infant, of course, because they're just observing, taking everything in. You're listening for babbling, listening for them to interact, and you want them to smile at you and laugh, and you kind of look at your developmental milestones. Baby Center is a great one for that. Any kind of information that parents go to, they'll give you developmental milestones for language. Also go to your regular checkups with your physician, and they're doing a developmental checklist to see if the language is developing. Children should have their first word by year 1. By 2 years old, they should have at least 50 words, and they should be combining words into sentences. So it should be say mama carry, mama go, or they can say their name, or me carry, me go. So you're listening for them to have words, and what you want to do is you just want to constantly talk to them and describe everything. If you're at the grocery store and they're reaching for something, even if they don't know what it's called, it could be a watermelon. Oh, you want the watermelon. Look, the watermelon's nice and round, and it's green, and it has stripes, and oh, it's heavy. And you constantly describe everything that's going on in your life. If you're cooking, you talk about what you're doing when you're cooking. Oh, Mama's opening the rice. She's putting it in the pot.
Do you talk in your regular language, or do you don't want to do baby language?
No, you don't want to do baby language, because if you talk to them in baby talk, then that's what they learn and that's what they think is correct. And then they get to kindergarten, and then I have a kindergartner who says, her's going to go to the store today. And that's something that could be a problem, especially if they're trying to beginning to do reading and sentences. So even if a child, even a 2-year-old, this is a good example. I had a 2-year-old the other day that said, her's going to go get the ball. I said, oh yeah, she's going to get the ball. And he turned right back around and said, she's going to get the ball. That's called recasting. That's something we always do as speech therapists naturally, but I think parents don't necessarily do that because it is cute, it's precious, but we just need to be very mindful and aware that what we say, how we talk, is how they learn to talk. So therefore, we need to model the best and most appropriate language and just talk to them nonstop. Reading also is a tremendous help for what you do with as parents to help your child's language grow. When you read a story, talk about the story beyond just the pictures. If you're reading Good Night Moon, oh, in the great green room there was a telephone. Point to the telephone. Say, oh, can you show me the telephone? The telephone, it can ring. You talk on the telephone. Talk about the pictures, talk about the story, and have the child talk back to you, especially when they get old enough to answer questions.
Like comprehension questions, or just in general? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
what was in the green room? Oh, there
Whole
was a
new
telephone.
process that we're going to take at our house now. So you told us that we need to be describing, we need to be talking. But as a parent, I've become concerned that my child is not, he or she is not doing the 50 words at 2, or has had some hearing loss, I think, due to hearing aids. What do I'm not hearing aids, ear infections. I don't know where I'm going with the hearing aid. Maybe I need one. But anyway, so what do we do to talk to someone that's in your field? I mean, where do we go?
Well, there are lots of options. If your child is 3 or older, you can contact your local school district. So if you're in Brookhaven, you can contact Brookhaven School District. That's 835-1211 is Special Services Office, and they can see about getting your child an appointment to be evaluated. If they're under 3, there is Early Steps intervention, and that's actually through the health department. So you would contact either your child's physician. There's also a private practice here in town, or just outside of town actually, the Rays, Speech Pathology Associates. That's always an option too. So there are many options for you to go to, but primarily talk to your child's physician if they're under 3 years or older. You can seek private therapy, or you can contact school districts though, because basically when they turn 3, it falls under the umbrella of the schools.
And what happens in that? Like if you go in to be assessed or tested, what do they do? Okay. What should a parent expect?
It depends on the age. If they're under 3, there are probably a lot of questions for the parents. There might be some play type assessment where you get the child and get some toys out and play and see if the child can name objects or interacts with you. When they're 3 or older, you might have some more formal tests. There are standardized formal tests for language in many areas. And so it basically depends on the age and what the problem is. If the child's not talking at all, it probably would be more questionnaire type, versus if the child's talking some but you don't think it's quite right. The tester would take the child in a room and ask questions, pictures, that type of thing to assess the child's language.